Stepan Andreyovich Bandera, Ukrainian, Stepa N. Andreyovich Bandera, Romanized, Stepan Andreyovich Bandera, IPA, Stepan Andrzejowicz Bender, Polish, Stepan Andrzejowicz Bandera, the 1st of January 1909 to the 15th of October 1959, was a Ukrainian politician and theorist of the militant wing of the far-right Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists and a leader and ideologist of Ukrainian ultranationalists known for his involvement in terrorist activities. Born in Galicia, at the time Kingdom of Galicia and Lodomeria, part of Austria-Hungary, into the family of a Greek Catholic priest, young Bandera became a Ukrainian nationalist. After the empire disintegrated in the wake of World War I, Galicia briefly became a West Ukrainian People's Republic. Following the Polish-Ukrainian War of 1918–1919, it was integrated into eastern Poland. In this period, Bandera became radicalized, and after Polish authorities refused to let him leave for Czechoslovakia to study, he enrolled at the Lviv Polytechnic, where he organized Ukrainian nationalist organizations. For orchestrating the 1934 assassination of Poland's Minister of the Interior Bronislaw Pieracki, Bandera was sentenced to death, but the sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. In 1939, following the joint German-Soviet invasion of Poland, Bandera was released from prison, and he moved to Krakow in the German-occupied zone of Poland. Bandera cultivated German military circles favorable to Ukrainian independence, and organized OUN expeditionary groups. When Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union, he prepared the 30th of June 1941 proclamation of Ukrainian statehood in Lviv, pledging to work with Nazi Germany. For his refusal to rescind the decree, Bandera was arrested by the Gestapo, which put him under house arrest on 5 July 1941, and later between 1942 and 1943 sent him to the Sachsenhausen concentration camp. In 1944, with Germany rapidly losing ground in the war in the face of the advancing Allied armies, Bandera was released in the hope that he would be instrumental in deterring the advancing Soviet forces. He set up the headquarters of the re-established Ukrainian Supreme Liberation Council, which worked underground. He settled with his family in West Germany, where he remained the leader of the OUNB and worked with several anti-communist organizations such as the Anti-Bolshevik Bloc of Nations as well as with the British intelligence agencies. 14 years after the end of the war, Bandera was assassinated in 1959 by KGB agents in Munich. On the 22nd of January 2010, the outgoing president of Ukraine Viktor Yushchenko awarded Bandera the posthumous title of Hero of Ukraine. The European Parliament condemned the award, as did Russia, Polish, and Jewish politicians and organizations. The incoming president Viktor Yanukovych declared the award illegal, since Bandera was never a citizen of Ukraine, a stipulation necessary for getting the award. This announcement was confirmed by a court decision in April 2010. In January 2011, the award was officially annulled. A proposal to confer the award on Bandera was rejected by the Ukrainian parliament in August 2019. Bandera remains a highly controversial figure in Ukraine, with some Ukrainians hailing him as a liberator who fought against the Soviet, Polish and Nazi states while trying to establish an independent Ukraine, while other Ukrainians as well as Poland and Russia condemn him as a fascist and a war criminal who was, together with his followers, largely responsible for the massacres of Polish civilians and partially for the Holocaust in Ukraine. Early life Bandera was born in Stary Urinov, Galicia, Austria-Hungary. He attended the fourth form grammar school in Stry. After graduation from high school in 1927, he planned to attend the Ukrainian College of Technology and Economics in Podebrady in Czechoslovakia, but the Polish authorities did not grant him travel papers. In 1928, Bandera enrolled in the agronomy program at the Lviv Polytechnic, then Politechnika Lwowska, one of the few programs open to Ukrainians at the time. This was due to restrictions placed on minority enrollment, which was aimed primarily at Jews and Ukrainians, in both secondary schools, gymnasia, and university-level institutions by the Polish government. Pre-World War II early activities Stepan Bandera had met and associated himself with members of a variety of Ukrainian nationalist organizations throughout his schooling, from Plast, to the Union for the Liberation of Ukraine, Ukrainian, Ukrainska Vyzvolna Organizacja, and also the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, OUN, Ukrainian, Organizacja Ukraiński Nacjonalistów. The most active of these organizations was the OUN, and the leader of the OUN was Andriy Melnik. Because of his determined personality, Stepan Bandera quickly rose through the ranks of these organizations, becoming the chief propaganda officer of the OUN in 1931, the second in command of OUN in Galicia in 1932. 1933, and the head of the national executive of the OUN in 1933. For Bandera, an inclusive policy of nation building was important, and therefore, he focused on growing support amongst all classes of Ukrainians in western parts of Ukraine. In the early 1930s, Bandera was very active in finding and developing groups of Ukrainian nationalists in both western and eastern Ukraine. OUN Stepan Bandera became head of the OUN National Executive in Galicia in June 1933. He expanded the OUN's network in the Kresy, directing it against both Poland and the Soviet Union. To stop expropriations, Bandera turned OUN against the Polish officials who were directly responsible for anti-Ukrainian policies. Activities included mass campaigns against Polish tobacco and alcohol monopolies and against the denationalization of Ukrainian youth. He was arrested in Lviv in 1934, and tried twice. First, concerning involvement in a plot to assassinate the Minister of Internal Affairs, Bronislaw Pieracki, and second at a general trial of OUN executives. He was convicted of terrorism and sentenced to death. The death sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. He was held in Ronki prison. In 1938, some of his followers tried unsuccessfully to break him out of the jail. According to various sources, Bandera was freed in September 1939, either by Ukrainian jailers after Polish jail administration left the jail, by Poles or by the Nazis soon after the German invasion of Poland. Soon thereafter, eastern Poland was occupied by the Soviet Union. Upon release from prison, Bandera moved to Krakow, the capital of Germany's occupational general government. There, he came in contact with the leader of the OUN, Andrei Atanasovich Melnik. In 1940, the political differences between the two leaders caused the OUN to split into two factions. The OUNM faction led by Melnik preached a more conservative approach to nation-building, while the OUNB faction, led by Bandera, supported a revolutionary approach. Formation of mobile groups. Before the independence proclamation of 30 June 1941, Bandera oversaw the formation of so-called mobile groups, Ukrainian, Mobilny Grupa, which were small, 5 to 15 members, groups of OUNB members who would travel from general government to western Ukraine and, after a German advance to eastern Ukraine, encourage support for the OUNB and establish local authorities run by OUNB activists. In total, approximately 7,000 people participated in these mobile groups, and they found followers among a wide circle of intellectuals, such as Ivan Baryani, Vasil Barka, Ryhori Vashenko and many others. Formation of the UPA. World War II. OUN leaders Andrei Melnik and Bandera were recruited before World War II into the Nazi Germany military intelligence Abwehr for espionage, counter-espionage and sabotage. Their goal was to run diversion activities after Germany's attack on the Soviet Union. Melnik was given codename Consul I. This information is part of the testimony that Abwehr Colonel Erwin Stolz gave on 25 December 1945 and submitted to the Nuremberg trials, with a request to be admitted as evidence. In the spring of 1941, Bandera held meetings with the heads of Germany's intelligence, regarding the formation of Nachtigall and Roland battalions. In spring of that year, the OUN received 2.5 million marks for subversive activities inside the Soviet Union. Gestapo and Abwehr officials protected Bandera followers, as both organizations intended to use them for their own purposes. On 30 June 1941, with the arrival of Nazi troops in Ukraine, Bandera and the OUNB declared an independent Ukrainian state, Act of Renewal of Ukrainian Statehood. This declaration was accompanied by violent pogroms. Some of the published proclamations of the formation of this state say that it would work closely with the National Socialist Greater Germany, under the leadership of its leader Adolf Hitler, which is forming a new order in Europe and the world and is helping the Ukrainian people to free itself from Muscovite occupation. As stated in the text of the Act of Proclamation of Ukrainian Statehood, Bandera's expectation that the Nazi regime would post factum recognize an independent fascist Ukraine as an Axis ally proved to be wrong. In 1941, relations between Nazi Germany and the OUNB had soured to the point where a Nazi document dated 25 November 1941 stated that the Bandera movement is preparing a revolt in the Reichskommissariat which has as its ultimate aim the establishment of an independent Ukraine. All functionaries of the Bandera movement must be arrested at once and, after thorough interrogation, are to be liquidated. On 5 July, Bandera was transferred to Berlin. On 12 July, the Prime Minister of the newly formed Ukrainian national government, Yaroslav Stetsko, was also arrested and taken to Berlin. Although released from custody on 14 July, both were required to stay in Berlin. On 15 September 1941, Bandera and leading OUN